Hello, dear friends. If you're watching this today, I want you to know that what I'm about to share comes from a place of deep understanding and compassion. Many of us who have lived 7 decades or more find ourselves surrounded by things, possessions we've accumulated over the years, items that once served a purpose but now just take up space. And here's something important I want you to hear right from the start. If your home feels a bit too full, a bit too heavy, you are not alone. This is not about judgment. This is about finding peace, comfort, and joy in the space where you spend most of your time. Today, we're going to talk about 5 types of things that might be creating more stress than comfort in your home, and I'm going to walk you through why letting go of these items can actually be one of the kindest things you do for yourself. Think of this not as throwing away your life, but as making room for the life you're living right now. Your home should be your sanctuary, a place that supports you, not overwhelms you. Let me start with something that might surprise you because it's often hiding in drawers and filing cabinets. I'm talking about outdated paperwork and forgotten files. Now, I know many of us were raised to keep everything, to hold on to receipts and statements and documents just in case we might need them someday. But here's the truth. Most of that paper is creating a quiet source of anxiety that you might not even realize is there. Think about those stacks of old bills from 5 or 10 years ago, warranty cards for appliances you no longer own, instruction manuals for devices that have long since been replaced. Every time you walk past that filing cabinet or open that drawer crammed with paper, there's a tiny voice in your mind saying you should sort through it all. That mental weight adds up. One gentleman I know, let's call him Robert, told me he had been avoiding his home office for years because the filing cabinet made him feel guilty. When he finally spent a weekend going through it with his daughter's help, he found that 90% of what he'd been keeping could be safely discarded or shredded. He said it felt like someone had lifted a weight off his shoulders. Here's what I recommend. Start small. Choose one drawer or one folder. Keep only the essentials: tax documents from the past 7 years, current insurance policies, property deeds, and important medical records. Everything else, those old phone bills, those expired coupons, those catalogues from stores that might not even exist anymore, let them go. If you're unsure about something, take a photo of it with your phone or camera before you discard it. That way, you have a backup if you ever need to reference it, though I promise you almost never will. Now, let's move to the kitchen, a room that should be the heart of comfort in your home. How many small appliances do you have tucked away in your cabinets? Bread makers, food processors, multiple coffee makers, blenders you haven't used in years? If you're like most people over 70, your kitchen has accumulated quite a collection over the decades. Maybe some were gifts, maybe some were impulse purchases from shopping channels, maybe you bought them with the best intentions to use them regularly. Here's a question I want you to ask yourself. When was the last time you actually used each appliance? If it's been more than a year, and you can't remember the last time you reached for it, it's probably just taking up valuable space. I knew a lovely woman named Marjorie who had 3 different types of mixers in her kitchen. She admitted she only ever used the hand mixer, but she felt guilty getting rid of the others because they were still perfectly good. Once she donated the extras to a local charity, she couldn't believe how much easier it became to access the things she actually used every day. Her counters were clearer, her cabinets were organized, and cooking became enjoyable again, instead of frustrating. The same principle applies to duplicate items. Do you really need 8 coffee mugs if you only ever use 2 favorites? Do you need 3 sets of mixing bowls when one good set does the job? Keeping only what you truly use and love makes your kitchen work for you instead of against you. Plus, there's something wonderful about knowing that the appliances and dishes you pass on might bring joy to someone else who needs them. A young family just starting out might be thrilled to receive that bread maker you've been storing for years. Let's talk about something even more personal now: your wardrobe. This one touches many hearts because our clothes hold memories. They represent different chapters of our lives, different versions of ourselves. But if you're honest, how much of what's hanging in your closet do you actually wear? How many items are too small or too big, styles that no longer suit you, or pieces that simply don't feel comfortable anymore? I remember Frank, a retired teacher who shared with me that his closet was full of dress shirts and ties from his working days. He'd been retired for 10 years, but he couldn't bring himself to part with them because they represented his professional identity. One afternoon, he decided to keep just a few favorites for special occasions and donated the rest. He told me it felt like breathing fresh air. Suddenly, getting dressed in the morning became simple instead of overwhelming. He could see all his comfortable, current clothes, and he felt more like himself than he had in years. Here's my gentle suggestion for you. Go through your wardrobe one section at a time. Start with items that are clearly worn out or damaged beyond repair. Then move to things that don't fit or haven't fit in years. If you're holding on to them, hoping to fit into them again, ask yourself if that's realistic and kind to yourself. Your body has carried you through decades of life, and it deserves clothes that fit comfortably right now. If there are sentimental pieces, like a special dress or a beloved sweater, take a photograph of yourself wearing it, or just of the item itself. You'll preserve the memory without keeping the physical burden. The goal here is to curate a wardrobe of favorites, clothes that make you feel good, that are easy to care for, and that suit your current lifestyle. When every item in your closet is something you're happy to wear, getting dressed becomes a pleasure instead of a chore. And that small daily pleasure adds up to a better quality of life. Now, I want to address something that might feel challenging: furniture and bulky decor. Over the years, our homes often fill up with pieces we inherited, bought for different life stages, or simply accumulated because we had the room. But as we age, our needs change. That heavy coffee table that seemed perfect 30 years ago might now be a navigation hazard. Those extra chairs in the living room might make the space feel cramped rather than cozy. The large decorative items on shelves might just be collecting dust and making cleaning harder. I knew a woman named Susan who lived in the same house for 40 years. She and her husband had raised their family there, and over time the house had filled with furniture for when the children and grandchildren visited. But after her husband passed and the grandchildren grew up with busy lives of their own, Susan found herself living alone in a house that felt overwhelming. She realized she was navigating around furniture she never used, dusting items that brought no joy, and feeling exhausted by the maintenance of it all. With the help of a friend, Susan began to thoughtfully downsize. She kept one comfortable couch instead of two, donated the dining room chairs she never used, and cleared off the decorative shelves, keeping only a few meaningful photographs and items. She told me the transformation was remarkable. Her home felt larger, brighter, easier to move through, and infinitely more peaceful. She wasn't erasing her memories, she was making space for her present comfort. Take a walk through your home today. Really, look at each piece of furniture and each decorative item. Ask yourself, does this serve my current life? Does it make my day easier or harder? Am I keeping this because I love it, or because I feel like I should? There's no shame in admitting that something that once served you well no longer fits your needs. Furniture can be sold, donated, or offered to family members who might appreciate it. The space you reclaim will improve your safety, reduce your cleaning burden, and allow your home to breathe. Finally, and this is perhaps the most tender topic of all, let's talk about sentimental items. These are the hardest to address because they connect us to people we love, moments we treasure, and versions of ourselves we want to remember. I want to be very clear. I'm not suggesting you purge all meaningful possessions. What I am suggesting is that when sentimental items overwhelm your space, they can actually diminish their own meaning. Think about it this way. If you have boxes of keepsakes tucked away in closets and attics that you never look at, are they truly honoring those memories? Or are they just creating clutter that makes you feel guilty every time you see the boxes? One man I spoke with, Howard, had kept every single card and letter he'd ever received, along with countless small trinkets and mementos. He felt like he couldn't part with any of it without betraying the people who'd given them to him. But the reality was, the boxes stressed him out, and he never looked at any of it. Howard's daughter suggested they go through the boxes together. They took photos of many items, kept a small selection of the most meaningful pieces, and created a beautiful memory corner in his living room, where he could actually see and enjoy them. The rest, they let go with gratitude. Howard said it was emotional, yes, but also incredibly freeing. He felt like he'd been carrying a heavy backpack for years and finally set it down. If you're struggling with sentimental clutter, here's what I recommend. Choose a small, manageable amount of space for keepsakes. Maybe it's one shelf, one box, or one drawer. Then go through your collection and select only the items that truly bring you joy when you see them or touch them. For everything else, take photographs. You can create a digital or physical album of memories without keeping every physical object. Consider offering some items to family members who might appreciate them. Knowing that your daughter is using your mother's recipe box or that your grandson treasures a watch you passed on can be more meaningful than having these items sit unused in storage. Remember, letting go of objects doesn't mean letting go of love or memories. The people you've cherished and the experiences you've had are part of who you are. They live in your heart and mind, not in boxes in your attic. I want to pause here and acknowledge that everything I've talked about today can feel overwhelming. You might be looking around your home right now and feeling like the task is too big, too emotional, too much. Please hear me when I say this. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to do it alone. And you don't have to be perfect at it. Decluttering after 70 is not about erasing your past or denying the life you've lived. It's about honoring your present and making space for comfort, safety, and peace. Every single item you release is a gift to yourself. It's saying, I deserve a home that supports me. I deserve to move freely through my space. I deserve to feel calm when I look around my rooms. Start with what feels easiest. Maybe it's that drawer of old paperwork. Maybe it's the kitchen appliance you know you'll never use. Maybe it's pulling out 5 pieces of clothing you haven't worn in 5 years. Small steps create momentum. And as you experience the relief and lightness that comes from each small act of letting go, you'll find the courage to continue. If you have family or friends who can help, invite them in. Make it a project you do together, maybe over a cup of tea or with some good music playing. If you feel you need professional support, there are senior move managers and professional organizers who specialize in helping older adults with this process. They understand the emotional component and can provide gentle, practical guidance. And please, be patient and kind with yourself. If you have a day where you can't bear to part with anything, that's okay. If you get emotional going through old memories, that's completely normal. This process is as much about honoring your feelings as it is about organizing your space. There's no deadline. There's no right way to do this except the way that feels right for you. I also want you to know that the benefits of this work extend far beyond just having a tidier home. When you clear physical clutter, you often find that mental clutter clears as well. You might sleep better. You might feel less anxious. You might find that you have more energy for the activities and people you love because you're not spending that energy managing, cleaning, and worrying about all your possessions. Many people describe feeling younger, lighter, and more hopeful after decluttering. It's like they've given themselves permission to fully live in the present rather than being weighed down by the past. Your home should be a reflection of who you are right now, not who you were 20 or 30 years ago. It should support your current lifestyle, whatever that looks like. If you spend most of your time in certain rooms, make those rooms as comfortable and functional as possible. If there are spaces you never use, consider whether they need to be fully furnished or decorated. Your home should work for you. So here's what I'd like you to do after watching this video. I want you to choose just one small area to tackle this week. It could be a single drawer, one shelf, or one corner of a room. Spend just 15 minutes there. Sort through what you find. Keep only what serves you now. Let go of the rest with gratitude for how it served you in the past. Notice how you feel after those 15 minutes. I think you might be surprised by the sense of relief and accomplishment that comes from even this small act. And then, if you're willing, I'd love to hear about your experience. Leave a comment below and tell me which area you chose to declutter and how it felt. Share your challenges and your victories. We're all in this together, and your story might inspire someone else who's struggling with the same decision you just made. This community is here to support each other. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future videos on living well in your golden years. Share this with a friend who might benefit from hearing this message. Sometimes, just knowing that we're not alone in our struggles makes all the difference. Remember, my friend, your worth is not measured by your possessions. You are valuable, you are loved, and you deserve a home that brings you peace. Decluttering is an act of self-care, an act of self-love. It's never too late to create the calm, comfortable sanctuary you deserve. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I'm cheering you on every step of the way. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.